Happy Facebook Live time. I'm Melissa Kerman with Melissa's Crafting Treehouse. Welcome if you're joining for the live or for the replay here on Facebook or on YouTube. I'm here live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hello, Dean. Good to see you there. Hi, Gail. Yay. We got, and Sue and Kathleen. I'm getting multiple names in one listing. That's unusual. Hi, MJ. Yay. And Robin. So glad to have you joining in tonight. So hey, Christy. Yay. So good to see people joining in. Welcome, everybody. So tonight I have something unusual to share. It's, I'm playing with nature, okay? I love to play with nature. I love natural images. My favorite stamps are nature-based images. So I'm excited to share what I have. It's kind of a small, quick project, but I think you'll enjoy it. So I'm excited. Before I do that, just a little hello and some announcements, and then we'll get to the project. I want to share a little bit of some ruminations that come via my yoga teacher from this morning. Generally speaking, she could do her yoga and we could go in and do the motions, do the poses, right? That's what most people think about yoga as being. But she always adds this wonderful sort of reflections on life kind of thing. And I just love that. So what I'm about to share is kind of my inspiration from her, because when I think of crafting, sure, I could come on here and just show you how to do something, which of course I do, but crafting fits into the larger context of my life, so as it does for you. So I like to share something a little bit more. So she talked about change and how, really change is a constant, and I think I'm thinking about change, and she mentioned it because of course the fall colors are coming and we really see those signs of change. But we've also all been kind of subject to this crazy change as a world with the pandemic, whether we like it or not. It took me a long time to kind of adjust and shift gears when everything kind of went crazy, and I suspect that's true for all of you guys too. So as an example, it took me, probably 2 months to get back on an exercise routine because I was thrown off by not being able to go to my studio. And my eating has kind of been off, and it just took a little while to come around to that. Anyway, I say this because I suspect that's maybe true for all of you guys too, and I want to hear more from you about you, not just the crafting stuff. I guess it's a new normal, if you will. I don't think we're going to go back to what it was before, and I think that's kind of a fact of life right now. And a new normal isn't necessarily a bad normal, so it can teach us new things. And anyway, one of the things I've been feeling is just a little bit kind of lonely, like I interact with you guys, my husband's here, my daughter, but it's not the same as seeing people. So I'm transitioning to finding new ways to connect with people. And I don't know about you guys, but so it took me a while to adjust on my exercise, trying to get back on my eating in a little bit better way. And now, the social piece, I'm working on that piece. So anyway, I would love to hear from you guys, ways that you have adjusted your life to make it fit this new reality that we're in, and both, maybe exercise and maybe food and maybe your social. So share a little bit about yourself if you wouldn't mind. Just, ruminations. Be with me here. So that's my little hello, how do you do, philosophical thinking for the day. Hope you're cool with that, and that's I don't know. I think it's just an important part of it for me. So I'm going to launch right into a few little announcements, and then we'll go into the project. And if that was just like too much to reflect on or to share here, I get it. But I love to connect with you and hear from you. So do it privately if you're not comfortable doing it here. All right, so on the announcements front, you guys probably remember the Designer Series paper sale that's going on this month, still going on, 15% off select Designer Series papers. I'm going to be getting some of them. And I have 2 classes going on right now. It's in the pre-order phase for both of them. One of them I announced last week. It's my new technique class called the Glazed Mosaic Technique class. You can get that class in a variety of ways, either with product or without, with a materials kit or without. So I try to have, several creative options for people based upon what works for you. So there's that, and I'm excited about that class. There are sneak peeks on my website, so check it out. The deadline to RSVP for that is October 22nd, so that's a week from today. And it's signing up for the pre-order is really the only way to guarantee that you'll get a materials kit, which makes the class so easy and fun because you don't have to cut anything for yourself. Now, you might have to do some dry embossing, but I do all the cutting. Now, the new class that I publicized today in my newsletter is a Life is Beautiful class. Isn't that a great name? I didn't make it up. That's the name of the stamp set that the class is designed around. It's designed to be both a regular class where you make 2 each of 4 different designs, or you can step it up and make it a stamp-a-stack. So I'm offering the option basically for 8 cards, 16 cards, or 24 cards. And the projects are designed so that some of them are specifically winter themed, and some of them are a little bit more neutral. So you can use the sentiments that you want. You can use them for holiday card giving, or you can use them for winter card giving, and some of them are neutral enough so you could use it, give them any time of year. So it's a stamp-a-stack opportunity. So there'll be a PDF, I'll have an edited video, and then I'm also asking people if anybody would be interested in a Zoom or a Facebook Live activity to go with it. And that sort of ties into my sort of need for the social. I find Zoom to be really kind of fun. I like to see people's faces if you choose to show your face. Facebook is another way to do it, of course, but I can't see your faces. I can just see your comments here and there, and that's okay too. So anyway, in the registration form, there's a little poll section in there for, to tell me if you'd be interested in either a Zoom or a Facebook add-on activity. Wouldn't cost you any more, just be a way to kind of connect and to craft together. So anyway, so I'm super excited about the Life is Beautiful class. It's one of my favorite stamp sets in the current mini catalog. There are several different price points. 2 of them are actually $40. They include different products. One of them is $55, and then you can also buy the class for the electronic only class for just for $20. So anyway, so check it out. There was a link in the newsletter, and if you go to the product-based classes section on my tutorials and classes tab on my website, you'll find all the details that you need. So it should be lots of fun. All right, what else can I tell you? And the RSVP deadline for that is also October 22nd. There'll be a period in which I need to order the supplies. So I just want to get on it and, get people signed up who are going to do it, cut all those materials and make it happen. So let me know if you have questions. Now the project demonstration, I'm going to really show 2 things. I'm going to be showing a bunch of tools. I'm not using any stamps actually on this project. So that's part of why it's really different from what I usually do. But I'm going to start with showing you a trick with some tools. So I was designing my project and I really wanted a die cut shape that I didn't have in my collection in the right size. So I'm going to show you a fun trick that I played with using my dies to get a smaller sized piece. So I'm going to turn my camera down and show you that first, and then I'll show you the project. Okay, so here we go. So as you can see, I've got my big shot here. One of the things I use probably more than anything else as a tool in my stamping, the big shot of course, but these rectangle stitched framelits, I use them all the time. Seem to keep always pulling them out. Those and the subtle embossing folder. They're just so versatile. So I'm going to show you something that I did with these 2 dies in particular. So if I were cutting out this is the second largest of the dies. Obviously I would get this shape. Now I wanted more of a square. So this is actually a really simple trick, and I got this size instead. So that's going to work perfectly for one of the focal pieces that I'm going to be making. Now, I wanted to actually do one that's even bigger, so this is the largest die in the set. So here is what I'm going to do. And I'm also using my new Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and the magnetic plate. So if you guys haven't heard of this, this is the magnetic plate. Now, it's unlike the old one that we used to have with the Big Shot, where if you put a small die on it, it would sort of jump because of the magnetism was different in different spots, the way that it was constructed. But this is a solid magnet. Now, it's supposed to be a self-healing mat, but you can see there's marks in it from what I've cut. And as I understand it, this is really sort of a consumable. It's not supposed to last forever. It's kind of an expensive thing to be a consumable, but it is something you should know up front. Now, don't do what I did. This is a no-no. Don't do this. I thought this was the side. I wasn't paying attention in which to cut, so I actually got a permanent little shape in the backside. This is the cutting surface, the light gray, not the dark gray. Learn from my experience and mistake. That's what I get being over enthusiastic when getting started. So here I've got my plate number 1 and my spacer, plate number 2, which is the one you want to use for when you're die cutting. My magnetic plate, which replaces one of the cutting pads. And then I'm taking a piece of cardstock here that measures 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. Now this is actually, believe it or not, I'm using all these things that are either retired, not current, or, you know, different. But this paper is actually old Stampin' Up! Paper. It's like, it's not a confetti, but it's a natural finish. So what I'm doing today is with nature. So I wanted something that would not be stark white and not necessarily vanilla. So this is the, I can't even remember what it's called. But it measures 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. And I am going to die cut a piece from it. So I'm centering it on 3 of the 4 sides, and it's held down nicely by the magnetic plate. And then I'm going to bring it through my Big Shot, but not all the way. You guys probably would have guessed that this is what I was going to do. And I really want to see some of this left because I don't want to risk doing too much of it. And you're all going, yeah, I know what she's going to do. I know what she's going to do. So I'm going to disconnect that. And then you can see I've cut just that part. And then I'm going to line it up on this side so that I've got the same edge. Now, it actually doesn't have to have the same edge. If I wanted to have a frame, I could do that. But I could feel when I placed it down here that it kind of will sort of fall into place. Like the notches of the stitched shape will fall into place. So you're going to just kind of, you're kind of guessing, but then there's also a feel to it to try to get it in place. Let me see if I'm trying to line it up on the back side, and that'll help me line up the stitch. Now I did this earlier and it worked just perfectly, so I'm crossing my fingers that I'm going to line it up just so again. And now this time, as I'm sure you're guessing, I'm not going to go through all the way this time either. I really just want to get this beginning part. And hopefully it'll line up. I don't know. I'm not sure. I want to do just a little bit because the less I overlap, probably the better is my guess. And actually, there you go. It actually worked just fine. So see, I actually, that sort of snapping into place gave me the nice stitching along all 4 sides, and voila, I have my square. And this is pretty thin to actually use, but who knows, maybe I will. So that's my little trick. Now I've got my focal piece all ready for the next step. I just realized, you guys, that I didn't have my microphone on. And it was sitting next to me, so I don't know if you guys could hear me at all. Oh, geez, Louise. Could you guys hear me, or was I just like a big garbled mess as I was talking? I'm going to watch for comments here. Now I'm attached properly. The microphone is now on my shirt. So hopefully you guys are going to hear me better. All right. Crazy, man. Okay, I'm going to move this extra stuff out of the way. And now I'm going to show you what I'm playing with today. So my daughter sent me these. These are actually dried flowers. You heard me fine. Well, that's pretty remarkable. The microphone was like in a container off to the side that I keep and store it. But hopefully you can hear me even better now. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you guys for letting me know. I feel like such a doofus. Anyway, so these flowers, my daughter lives in West Virginia, and she's just a crazy nature lover. She's just mad about anything like this, and she had started making some wreaths as something to sell. And she showed me, we do a Zoom call every week, and she had showed me these gorgeous flowers that she had pressed. Oh, I'm so glad it's much better. Anyway, I'm glad that you can hear me better. Thank you, Megan. So are these not just beautiful? They actually make me think of Queen Anne's lace, although I don't think that that's what they are, because I think Queen Anne's lace is a bigger flower. But can you just see how pretty that is? Just so pretty. So I saw them. This one is really fat. And I immediately thought, oh, I totally want to make a card out of those. I love dried flowers of all kinds. I've pressed flowers a little bit in the past. So I am going to be playing with some pressed flowers to make my cards today. So now the one that I'm using is this one. And I've made some finished cards, which I'm going to show you. And I'm going to use this square that I just created. Now it's going to hang off a little bit off the side, so I'm going to tilt it a little bit and see if I can get that to fit just so. I did want it on the stitch, but that's a little bit tight. I'm going to work with it. All right, so here's the magic of what I'm going to do here. So how am I going to get this flower in my card so that it's not falling apart and totally fragile? The magic is in this lovely stuff called Soft Gel Medium. Now this is a glossy finish. You can also get a matte finish. You can get them in different thicknesses. This is a medium, a soft one. You can also get them in medium or heavy, which means it's just thicker. But I especially like this one. And I have shared this a little bit in the past on some things. Did a class some years ago on it. And I actually, for the class, I bought a gallon of this stuff. And I'm actually, of the gallon, I probably have maybe, I don't know, a sixth of it left. I really like this stuff. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm starting with putting a glaze basically over the surface of my piece of cardstock. Just spreading it out over the whole thing. Get a nice smooth finish. And now my stitching should show when I'm done. So when you start working with this, it's a sort of milky white, and it dries clear. So there's my step one. And then I'm going to put my flower down onto it. And I'm going to move them a little bit so that they're not too close to the edge. And just tapping it right into the gel. So that's, don't really want air bubbles in there. And then I'm going to take a little bit more and put it over the whole thing. Actually, do I want that? Now I have actually, when I've done this, lifted it up and kind of wanted it straight on, but oh geez. Living dangerously here, man. Okay, I'm just gonna have to go with the way it is. All right, so putting a little bit more on there, and then I'm just gonna cover the whole darn thing. Now once I put this on here, it's just going to fill in all the gaps and basically glue it in place. This gel medium I think is most often used by artists with acrylic paint, but I've found some fun, creative things to do with it, which I really love. And I have done a couple more of these that are actually in the process of drying. I'm going to show you the different stages of the drying and then some finished projects as well. So I'm going to set this aside. And cover it up. Now, just so you know, Stampin' Up! Does sell palette knives because we have some pastes in the catalog, and they come in a set of 3, so this is basically the set, one of each size. We don't sell the medium, but again, we sell paste. Now, the difference between the paste and the medium is that the paste dries opaque, so it's not clear, and as you can see, you know, this doesn't look like a whole lot, right now, but I'm going to show you some finished projects that are just super pretty. So now if I get any of this on the back side, it's going to stick to my paper, sort of pull the paper up. So I like to fold it over on itself so I have a nice clean piece, and then I'm just going to set that aside to dry. So there's the close-up look. So I'm going to put this off where I won't put my finger in it or anything. Now I will make a card of that one because I do have a card design in mind for it. I will post it to my blog when I post the projects for this project. So now I've done a bunch of these, and I meant to do them last night, didn't get around to it till this afternoon. So these were done at around 2 in the afternoon, and you can see they're still drying. Now this is an experiment. So I did this very thick, fat piece of foliage or flower on here. I had to use a lot of the medium to kind of get it to embed in there, and hopefully it'll look prettier when it's dry. Did I use a heavier cardstock? Not really. This is just regular, you know, either 80 or 100 pound cardstock, so it's not anything special that way. You can use anything that you want in the way of cardstock. I wouldn't use paper because it's nice to have the thickness, but we'll see what that looks like in the end. This is one that is the same kind of flower as the one I just did, and you can see it's drying. It's still got milky white in the center, but the flowers, for some reason, when they mix with the medium, sort of turn into this yellowish color, sort of golden. The greens will come out when it dries, but this is kind of, you know, several hours into drying of the same flower that I just showed you. And then I played around with some other ones today, which, you know, believe it or not, this plant matter I've had for, you know, a couple of years now, like stuck between some pieces of paper, flattening and drying, and I knew I'd have some use for it one day. So here is a one that I did with, it's, I think it might be a cedar frond. This is pretty thick as well, so it's still drying with the white in there. My intent with this is to do, you know, to make a, what do they call it, a slimline card. It's all the rage, right? So I tried to cut this narrow so that I could do a nice tall, thin card. We'll see how that works. I might trim off some of the edge once it's dry. So that should be a fun, interesting one. And then the other thing I played around with was doing it on some of our window sheets. So I did 2 of these ferns. I love ferns. Now for this one, I actually, you know, put the medium onto the plastic, the window sheets, and Stampin' Up! Of course sells the window sheets. You want me to show the gel again? I can do that. So there you go. You can get it in a craft store. You can buy it online. I like the Golden brand. It's really an artist quality brand. If you want to go cheap, you can get Mod Podge, but it's not nearly as nice as this. I think it just probably dries clearer. And you can use both for an adhesive as well, you know, for like a glue. But it's also, as you can see, a fixative. So now for this one, just to kind of finish where I was going with it, I put the medium on the plastic, and then I just put down the fern onto the surface. Now, I didn't put any gel on the top because I wanted to kind of show you the difference. It's got the, you know, the leafy matte finish. Now, I'm not sure that it's not going to be as durable because it's not sealed, so I may very well cover this one. This was actually my favorite sort of perfect frond of fern. And then I did this one here. This one I did both steps, the first layer, and then I put down the frond, and then I covered the whole thing, so that's kind of shiny. And on the back side, this one actually might be dry, you can see the little seeds, if you will, that are on the back of the fern. I think those are like the little seeds. So I thought it might actually look really pretty, which is why I chose to do it on the window sheet so that maybe we could see some of that detail after I was done. So anyway, so those ones that I've done. And okay, so then I'm going to show you one that's completely dry, and the card that I'm going to put together today. Now the card itself is bigger than a regular card, so I've cut it to 4 3/4 by 11. And I just cut it to a size that worked with my focal piece, rather than, you know, just doing a standard size card. Now for this one, this is a completely dry one, just done just the way I did it, except for on a window sheet. You can see some of the texture of the gel that's dried in there. And then, you know, you can choose which side you like. This would make it beautiful to have something in a window, I had thought. But it's hard to choose which side. I sort of favor this side, which is really the back flat side, but then this looks really pretty as well. So let's take a quick look at that, and I'm going to show you the sort of before and after. So this is the before, so white, those flowers, and then the after. So okay, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to attach it to a frame. So I made a frame. This was the outside edge using the smaller of the two dies, the rectangle dies. So just like I made this frame, I made this one, but I just used that second size of rectangle stitched framelit to get this layer. Now I've got adhesive on the back side so that I can attach my my focal piece on there, and I'm going to grab one of my silicone craft sheets so that I can face it down and not have it stick to my page. I just got to pick which side. It's time to commit. Okay, well that's the one I liked better first, so I'm going to just go with that. So it's just going to pick it up because I've got adhesive on the back. And I might need to pull that up just a little bit. Darn. Well, yeah, that's okay. I'll leave it like that. All right, and then I'm going to take one of my foam adhesive sheets and I'm going to cut some strips for the back. I'm going to raise it up a little bit just because I want to be able to just see some of the detail in it, and it'll show up differently if it's raised up. I'm just going to trim off this edge because it's a little bit close. All right. I'm going to do some smaller strips, and then I'll do some long strips. So this is ultimately a pretty simple card. It's obviously messing with the gel and then doing waiting for it to dry is the most time consuming part of the whole thing. But now that we're in the fall, you know, we got our ferns and other plants and such that are going to be dying off. So now's a good time to go out and grab some foliage and plant matter, maybe even some fall colored leaves. Wouldn't that be lovely to do this way? Put them in basically a fixative so you can save the pretty fall colors. Does anybody out there love fall colors like me? It's my favorite season. Chime in and tell me, what's your favorite season, if you feel inclined. Are you a fall lover like me? You like summer because it's warm? So I wanted to show you out my windows today because I'm starting to get some fall color, but it's too dark now. It's 7 o'clock at night and it's dark out, so you really can't see out the window. So that's kind of a bummer. Oop, I need one more piece. Ah, fall, yes. Yes. Yeah, and even fall colors, if you dry them, you know, they're going to soften in color, but you do keep some of that with the fixative, so that's kind of nice. So this is going to be super simple. I'm going to use some of this lovely gold twines, some of my favorite of the new ribbons and twines in the mini catalog. It comes in a pair with this vanilla ribbon, part of the Forever Fern suite. And I love this ribbon, but I haven't found a good use for it yet. It's really supple and easy to work with, but I've gone through a lot of this gold twine because it's just subtle and got a little shine to it, and you can see it goes really nicely with the color here. I'm going to go ahead and attach this. Does anybody else out there, have you guys done any pressing of flowers over the course of your lives? Ah, yes, cool nights, beautiful colors. I love fall colors. That's my favorite, favorite, favorite. Now to pick a direction. Yeah, I love cool weather too. My husband and I, we sit out in our screen room and have breakfast in the morning, and even when it gets cold, we do that some, as long as we bundle up. And now this ribbon, it does come sort of frayed at the end, so I like to tape it down with a little bit of tape so that it doesn't fray quite as much, and it will fray when you cut it, but it's just a little easier to work with when it's not frayed. So I am going to just wrap this around a couple of times. Three times to be exact. I have a method to my madness. Okay, I like to have it cross in the middle. Let's see what we got there. This, just the shine of this ribbon is so pretty. Does anybody else love this ribbon? You've pressed flowers? Oh, yes. You put a dot of Tombow glue on the ends. Oh, okay, for on the ribbon. Oh, what a lovely idea. That's smart. That's why I have to ask you guys questions, because you help me. Share your wisdom. vision of how I want it to cross. Okay. That's not it. This is the kind of thing I like to do when I'm not keeping people waiting. It's okay. I just want to show you when it's done. I'll get that right. It's a little loose, but it'll do. I might have to tighten that. Okay, well, I'm going to show you just where I am with it. So that's the idea. I might have to untie it and tighten it when I'm not stressing because you guys are watching. I'll just be honest with you. So there's my finished card. Sort of big size. Yes, unique, isn't it? It is. Not like anything I've done before. You can see it's raised up, so you see the texture in there and the here. So there's that one. Let me show you the other ones that I did, and obviously I'm going to be making more because I've got all these pieces drying now, pieces I haven't even done. So I have 2 others that I finished. Actually, yeah, 2 others, right. So here's this one. This one was done on, I think it's the basic gray or this, or is it the, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the name of it. Gray granite, maybe? It's either gray granite or the other neutral color, the name is slipping my mind. Anyway, you can see all that orange in there. I took one flower and then I took little pieces and put them off to the side. I have promised my daughter I'm going to mail her these, by the way. So, and for this one, I did it on a Whisper White cardstock. And the focal piece I did on a piece of vellum. And vellum has a white look to it, so it just went with this. I have another piece of white in behind. But when I was doing it, the vellum just curled up like crazy. And I was actually shocked. Sahara Sand, there you go. Thank you, Kathleen. That's the one that was not coming to my brain. But happily, when it dried, it actually kind of flattened out. It's got some nice texture and shape to it, but it's not crazy wonky. And then, of course, I used that same gold trim along the side. So those are my 3 cards so far. And got at least, let's see, what, 3, 4, 5 potentially coming with the ones that are drying off to the side. So that is my project for the day. It's going to turn me around. And as always, I will have my blog post up on Saturday, and the video on YouTube will go live on Saturday as well. And what else? So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know it's a little bit different from what we usually do, but I love playing with the fret pressed flowers, and it was really fun to use what my daughter had sent to me, and then I get to be able to send back to her in a finished card. So I know she's excited to get them. So maybe you'll play. So now let's see what else. So I actually, next week, I have a project that I've made that is made with the beautiful Life stamp set. It's a little bit complex for something like a stamp stack, so I did not include it in the Life is Beautiful class, but that's something to look forward to. Next Thursday, I'm pretty sure that's the one I'm gonna show. So stay tuned for that. Next Thursday, that would be the 22nd, I think. Yes. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Christy. Yay. So I guess I guess I'm pretty much okay. So I've been trying to remember every time to do these building blocks of a design process with you guys. This one, there's not much to it because obviously I started with wanting the pressed flowers, so it was kind of a no-brainer, and the size of each flower determined what my focal piece size would be. And then, of course, with the layout, I just wanted to keep it simple because I didn't even find that a sentiment really went with it. It just needed to show off that flower and with a little accent of the ribbon. So I really only had a few decisions to make along the way. So that made it real easy too. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. So just to recap the announcements, just make sure if you're at all interested in the either of my 2 classes happening now, the glazed mosaic technique class, or my Life is Beautiful class, aka also could be Stamp a Stack class. Check those details out on my website if you're interested, and let me know if you have questions. And I will be back next Thursday, same time, same channel. I will look forward to reading your comments. It's, you know, I always find it a little frustrating that I can't read while I'm doing it, you know, and see what you're saying as I'm talking. But, you know, sometimes the brain just can't handle all that. Can't see it and, you know, digest it and respond and stay focused at the same time. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and again for spending some time with me, because your time is valuable and I recognize that. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. You're welcome, Linda. Thank you. Actually seeing a comment. And hopefully to see you next Thursday. Have a wonderful weekend and take care.